The next thing I want to talk about is Griffin Johnson. So basically what happened was a TikToker by the name of Quelin Blackwell made a TikTok where she was basically joking about Addison Rae and Bryce Hall, and she was just pretending to cry over a video of them like being cuddly and gross and whatever. And all the comments were basically kind of like agreeing with her in the sense that they were just making fun of Addison for dating Bryce Hall, which is perfectly reasonable. Like, who the fuck wants to date Bryce Hall? And Griffin Johnson, who is Bryce Hall's like closest friend or whatever, duetted the video and basically shaded them. Kaylin then responded by saying this:
I mean, you did make a diss track about your ex-girlfriend who has moved on, that you cheated on. And I'm the weird one? Priorities. Priorities, Griffy.
And then Griffin responded with this:
I mean, you are the girl that supports a guy that has multiple accusations of being a child groomer, so...
Then he went on Twitter and said, "I'm just gonna drop it. It really wasn't that deep to begin with, just annoying. Anyone that could continue to make videos after seeing the comment sections is disgusting. We're all human and nobody deserves that." And then he said on Instagram, "Love how it's always the people that preach mental health that do shit like this. I never even was mad, but I will support my friends no matter what. It wasn't about me. This was me trying to stick up for my friends because of the horrible comments they were receiving. That's where I want the attention to be focused, not on the stupid drama. Let her have her moment, but just realize how disgusting it is to support that behavior. It's disgusting to make fun of Addison and Bryce dating, but you're literally going to be friends with Bryce Hall and support his behavior. It just seems so childish and pathetic to try and backtrack like this. Like, it literally makes no sense, but I guess it makes sense for like his audience because they're all stupid anyway. I'm also confused as to why he referenced like Diplo, the guy that was a pedophile or whatever, in response to this situation. Like, how pathetic and desperate and cringy like, what the fuck? Also, if your problem was with the comment section and not her, why did you shade her and have a problem with her and respond to her?
So the next thing I want to talk about is Johnny Depp and his loss of the UK libel case against the publisher of The Sun. The actor had sued the British newspapers, Publisher News Group Newspapers, and its executive editor Dan Wooten over an article in 2018 which described Depp as a wife beater and claimed there was overwhelming evidence he had attacked his ex-wife Amber Heard. The judge, Mr. Justice Nicole, ruled that the paper's allegations were substantially true. Not only that, but he also ended up exiting the Fantastic Beasts franchise. On Friday, the actor announced he'll be leaving the franchise, saying he'd been asked to resign by Warner Bros. The news comes days after a UK court ruled against Depp in his libel case with The Sun. This is what he posted on Instagram, which reads, "In light of recent events, I would like to make the following short statement. Firstly, I'd like to thank everybody who has gifted me with their support and loyalty. I have been humbled and moved by your many messages of love and concern, particularly over the last few days. Secondly, I wish to let you know that I have been asked to resign by Warner Bros. From my role as Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts, and I have respected and agreed to that request. Finally, I wish to say this. The surreal judgment of the court in the UK will not change my fight to tell the truth, and I confirm that I plan to appeal. My resolve remains strong, and I intend to prove that the allegations against me are false. My life and career will not be defined by this moment in time. Thank you for reading." In response to this, somebody posted on their Instagram story saying, "So Johnny Depp was asked to resign from Fantastic Beasts 3 by Warner Bros. Amber admitted to abusing him and falsely claimed that he abused her. Amber Heard still has her role in Aquaman 2, also produced by Warner Bros. Ezra Miller is on video choking a woman. J.K. Rowling is transphobic. Yeah, they asked Johnny to resign. What in the actual fuck?"
So the next thing I want to talk about is Charli and Dixie D'Amelio, because the D'Amelio family recently uploaded a video where they were just supposed to like sit down and have dinner, and they invited James Charles. He was supposed to be like the guest for that episode, and I'm sure everyone's already heard about it because Charli and Dixie got a lot of backlash because people felt that they were very disrespectful both to the chef because they had like a personal chef cooking their food, but Charli's fans also felt like they were being treated poorly. So basically what happened was the family was obviously served a meal for dinner, and that meal was cooked by their personal chef, and Dixie like reacted negatively when she found out there was a snail in her food.
To be understanding deal terms, because a lot of people don't, but unfortunately that's how a lot of influencers... What is everyone laughing at?
What is this?
Oh my god.
It's a mushroom.
No, it's not. That's a snail.
Oh my god.
It is a snail.
Oh!
It's a snail. It's the caracol. It's classic in paella, and it's actually a omen of good luck and fortune.
I just touched its liver. Oh my god. Liver? There's a...
And then she ended up eating the snail and throwing up. Charlie's response to the situation was to like ask for dinosaur nuggets.
Do we have any dino nuggets?
Ew.
And everyone kind of like wasn't comfortable with that because it felt like they were just being disrespectful and like ungrateful. James Charles and Charlie continued to have like a conversation about like foods that I guess you would like rather be having.
Charlie, if you're picky, what's your favorite food?
Chicken nuggets. And macaroni and cheese. I love macaroni and cheese.
Her fans were also personally upset when she said that she wished she had more time in order to reach 100 million followers on TikTok the year after she reached 1 million followers.
I wish I had like more time. Because imagine if I hit 100 mil a year after hitting a mil.
Was the 95 not enough for you?
Well, I was just like
like even numbers.
Well,
and they just felt like they were being treated as numbers and that Charli didn't really appreciate them. So a lot of people just agreed that the D'Amelio's weren't very grateful, they were very spoiled and stuff like that, which I don't think we needed this clip to prove. I guess it kind of adds to it, but they're like young, rich and white teenage girls who have this massive social media following. They're obviously going to be somewhat spoiled. A lot of people were also saying that like people shouldn't be so upset, like she's a teenager, she's only 16, Dixie's only like 19 or whatever, and just because she was asking for 100 million followers doesn't mean that she like doesn't appreciate her followers. My response to that would be like, her fans are allowed to be angry with this because it's like more of like a personal thing, I guess. They're just like allowed to be upset about the statement that she made, and they're allowed to like unfollow her and not be fans of her because of it. But also I feel like Smoking Glow said this in her video, but when somebody has 95 million followers, chances are they're going to see you as just followers, because you cannot just imagine 95 million faces and 95 million people appreciating you and loving you for what you do online. So from Charli's perspective, her fans almost have to be considered numbers because there's just so many of them. I saw this TikTok by this girl, I don't remember her TikTok handle. She makes a lot of commentary TikToks on more like taboo subjects. I guess she gets political a lot, but she basically said that her interpretation of the situation was that people's anger at Charli was probably stemmed from misogyny, specifically internalized misogyny, because being upset at Charli for being a picky eater and wanting 100 million followers rather than 95 million followers kind of translates to people are being mad at this girl because she's impolite and ambitious. You can have your own opinion on that. I don't think I'd go that far. There are always going to be people who hate on her for the sake of hating her, and I don't doubt that there are people who hate her just because they're misogynistic, but I do also genuinely think that a lot of people who are upset at the situation just are upset because they genuinely thought that she was bratty and spoiled and ungrateful towards both like her privilege and position, like having a personal chef and all that kind of stuff, as well as having the amount of followers that she has but still complaining that she hasn't gotten to 100 million yet. In regards to the Dixie situation, both Dixie and the personal chef Aaron May, has come out to say that it was kind of like an inside joke or a prank of sorts, because they knew that Dixie reacts very intensely, I guess, to certain like smells and textures and tastes, so they knew that she was going to react this way and it was just supposed to be like a fun little thing. But that brings me to like the second part of the drama, which is when Trisha Paytas got involved.
Just did a reaction to this video of the D'Amelios and James Charles having dinner with a chef, and I've seen lots of comments from Dixie saying like just kind of being really combative and bratty towards people who had criticisms of the girls. There's a chef making them food, they're being really disrespectful, just spitting out the food, and they're 19, they're young, but I do think since they are role models on such a big platform, they should be called out when they need to be humbled a little, because you see this happen all the time. People get really famous, a lot of followers really quickly. They think they're entitled to 100 million. They complain that they only have 95 million followers. They complain that they have a personal chef, and it's just unbecoming.
So she posted that on TikTok, and then Charli went on an Instagram live where she was very upset about the situation and upset that people were upset at her for the whole video. And at a certain point in the live, she directly calls out Trisha Paytas and says this.
I'm just gonna say it, Trisha Paytas, like this is not, sorry, just you have been completely rude to me multiple times, saying she doesn't have a personality, please stop worrying about mine. And that's all I have to say on that. Quite honestly, I just, like, please stop talking about me.
And so obviously Trisha Paytas responded again on TikTok.
She specifically goes on to say, Trisha Paytas, you have your own problems. Stop worrying about mine. As if to say I'm the crazy one on the internet, I'm the mess, nobody likes me, blah, blah, blah. And that's totally fine. And I'm not worried about you. I'm commentating on poor behavior because that's the only way you're going to be able to grow and change. And it looks like you have remorse. It looks like you're upset and crying, and I am completely sorry if people are telling you to. That's so wrong on so many levels, but you can't go James Charles and say keep my name out of your mouth when your whole career and livelihood is based on social media, people talking about you and watching what you do. It's you call me out, but why don't we call out people that are actually being harmful and detrimental to your growth?
And because of all this drama and whatnot, Corona Conf went on Twitter and tweeted out saying, imagine being an actual controversial creator coming for a 16-year-old because they have bad manners. Okay. James Charles also tweeted about the situation saying, this Charli situation is not sitting right with me. 100 million followers in 1 year and y'all expect her to know how to be a perfect role model? Death threats because she's a picky eater and made a joke about a milestone? 30-plus-year-olds dragging someone half their age feels familiar. And a lot of people thought that James was referring to Trisha Paytas because of the TikToks and and stuff like that, and because of her age. And so she responded on Twitter and said this: "Poor parenting on your parents' end, James, for allowing you to be friends with Tati, a middle-aged woman while you were a teen. Unfortunately, you were the victim then. But now Charlie is the victim. You being friends with a minor is predatory. Imagine always being the victim in every situation. James, how do you do it? How are you so perfect? I know it's easy to deflect to me now, but imagine being James Charles, more hated than even Trisha Paytas. Who, what a feat. P.S. Stop stealing small creators' art, clothing, makeup looks, etc. Bad attitudes are the fault of some huge A-list celebs who are actually talented, and you can bet the same goes for D-list hacks like James. Definitely have always said no one deserves to be cancelled. Everyone has room for growth and positive influence except James Charles. Please cancel him. He's a forever victim with a superiority complex, has never said sorry his whole life, and hangs out with underage girls regularly." Which came from nowhere. It's pretty obvious that the relationship between James Charles and Charli D'Amelio is literally just platonic. Smokey Glow also made the point in her video that Dixie and James are very similar in age, as well as James and like a lot of other people in like TikTok content houses, and Charli is more of the odd one out, being the underage like young one. But when you have an older sibling that's only like maybe 3-4 years older than you, chances are you're going to have a lot of friends that are also friends with your older sibling, especially when you're Charli and Dixie and you're kind of like in the same group of people in regards to like TikTok people, which are mostly like in their 18-19-year-old kind of age group. So James responded by making a TikTok.
To insinuate that the relationship between Charli and I is anything other than just a friendship is absolutely disgusting. I don't need Charli, and Charli does not need me. I became friends with the D'Amelio family as a whole very, very early on because this is all very, very new to them, and I wanted to be a friend and a mentor in any way that I possibly could. And Charli and I, despite not being the same age, had one thing in common, which was coming to the spotlight at a very, very young age. This is something that Trisha has never experienced, because the only reason she is in the spotlight is because she has said this thing. She said she's done blood. She offended the trans community. She offended the DID community. She said wasn't that bad of a guy, voted for Trump, and has started a fight with about every single other creator on this platform. You are in no position to be talking about me and my career, so I highly recommend that you stop starting fights with people that are half your age, pack it up, and work on holding yourself and your best friends around you, because they and you are the problem.
And Trisha Paytas responded to this TikTok by saying, "James Charles really thought he did something. He's fat shamed me, now he's age shamed me. But I never called you a groomer. Hanging out with minors as an adult, however, is predatory shit. James bringing up shit when I was in my early 20s will be what he has to face in 10 years when people bring up his relationship with an underage girl. Boy, girl, gay, straight relationships adults have with minors is creepy." I feel like if you look at a completely platonic relationship and make it out to be creepy in your head, that's your problem. Not everything has to be sexual. Not everything is there for you to sexualize or make creepy. That is on you. You are the perverted one. I just feel like it's so weird that she had to turn it into like a sexual predatory thing, because like your point doesn't stand anymore. You could have just said Charli was being bratty and Dixie was being bratty and they're both annoying and like kept it at that, because nobody would have actually given a fuck. But now you're saying like James Charles is trying to prey on Charli D'Amelio, and that like literally doesn't make sense.
Why are you trying to make it something that it isn't? This isn't about him age shaming you. This is about you being a full grown adult coming after children for no reason other than attention. Age shaming or being ageist isn't shit like, oh, you're 30 years old, you should stop being so immature. Age shaming or being ageist is shit like when Tati came out with her video about the Dramageddon situation and how she was manipulated. I'm not going into whether or not I believe the way that she's presented the situation in that video, but age shaming or being ageist is when people called her out and said, you're 30 years old, how are you going to say that you were manipulated by these people? Adults and middle-aged people and full-grown elderly people can be manipulated by others, and saying that they cannot or implying that they should have known better to like not get manipulated, that is ageist. What isn't ageist is expecting you as a 30-year-old woman to know better than to attack children for absolutely no reason, and then to get mad at James for calling you out, for calling him a pervert or like a predator or something like that. Do you need to go back to high school? You can't just imply that somebody is a predator and then be like, okay, well, I never called you a groomer. That's not the point. Also, you can't pull a Jeffree Star and keep on going, well, these are things that I've done 10 years ago. Many of the things that you've done were very recent. You offended the DID community and the trans community very recently. You cannot keep on saying that you apologize for this shit as well, because you very much have not. And regardless of whether or not you have apologized for it, it is for everybody else, for people that are actually part of those communities to decide whether or not to forgive you and whether or not your apology was worth it. Not you to be like, well, I already apologized and everyone has to forgive me. No, absolutely not. Considering that your apologies were either absolute bullshit or just completely non-existent, a lot of people have very good reasons to be mad at you, and you have very little reason to get mad at other people for things that you do not have a reason to get mad at them for, or to imply that you are better than them, or to imply that you are above them in any sort of way, because you very much are not.
So that is all I have for you guys today. There are also way too many people around me. If you liked this video or if you liked me, make sure to like and subscribe. If you didn't like me, make sure to get in contact with my teachers, because I bet you'll have a lot in common, and make sure to stay safe and stay hydrated, and I can't show you my water because it's in my bag.